to get the dealer plate real quick. Hold on. When we think about the 3 Series, what was the 3 Series aimed to be? Well, the 3 Series was aimed to be a entry-level, fun-to-drive replacement for the BMW 2002. Did they succeed? Yeah. And what they did with the 3 Series in general was create a fanboy car, an enthusiast car, one that anybody who likes to drive can get in and go. The 3 Series is every enthusiast's go-to car. You rarely hear an enthusiast say that they're gonna go and grab their Mercedes C-Class or their Audi A4. Nope. You always see the enthusiasts going for their 3 Series. So BMW put a lot of money, a lot of development time, a lot of progress into the 3 Series. They wanted to make a car that was reliable, fun to drive, relatively inexpensive, and also one that could be for the masses. This is it. The E46 3 Series was the pinnacle of the 3 Series. It was fun to drive, excellent braking performance, excellent handling. It was reliable, and when maintained, it will never break. BMW perfected the inline 6. It is smooth as butter and quick. It has the perfect amount of torque. The gearbox is flawlessly shiftable. There's no clunking, there's no long shifts. And it's no wonder people love the 3 Series. The camera is shaking. It's a car that anybody can drive and anybody can have fun in. It's a car where the parts are readily available. It's relatively inexpensive to fix because the parts are readily available. And the 3 Series, because of that, has been BMW's staple. It's been the car that BMW sells the most of. BMW knows that. They are well aware that the 3 Series makes them their money. So every 3 Series is just a little bit better than the last. But also, they've been getting just a little bit bigger than the last. I prefer the E46. It's the perfect size. It has the perfect amount of power, especially the 330. It has perfect driving dynamics. The steering is perfectly weighted. The suspension is firm, but it's not so firm that you're crashing and banging over every bump. The braking is incredibly secure. One of my favorite parts about the 330s is the way that BMW put the massive rotors on the front and then equally massive rotors on the back. It gives a certain amount of flair and presence. The 325 has a different braking package than the 330s. But I enjoy the 325 as well. The 325 is more economical. It's common to see 28 miles to the gallon, sometimes a little higher on the 325s. They work good on gas. And if you were an assertive driver, you can utilize all of the power, always. With the 330, you were updated. You had an updated engine. A little bit more power. Woo! Oh gosh. A little bit more power. A little bit bigger brakes. In the M-Tech 2 package, you got even more little power. You got firmer suspension. You got bigger rims. Good heavens. You got, really that's it. You got Alcantara. Big whoop. Some of the great things about the 3 Series was the fact that BMW contracted General Motors for their rear-wheel drive transmissions. In a lot of BMWs, especially in the 90s, you would see General Motors 4-speed rear-wheel drive transmissions. And the one thing General Motors does very well is they make a brilliant rear-wheel drive transmission. Incredibly sturdy. And they never break. So BMW capitalized on that. And they used that to their advantage. And why the hell not? Why not take something that a company makes very well and use it on your cars? I would suspect that General Motors didn't charge as much as ZF did for their transmissions. course, I would have done the same thing. There were some models that did have the ZF 5-speed automatic transmission. And to be honest, I'm not really sure how to identify them. I have no idea how to identify without going underneath the car and actually doing the service. I know sometimes they say if it has a CFH 11 power steering cap, but I've also seen that and had the General Motors transmission. So I don't know. This car, they also came with a SMG sequential manual gearbox that was the first of its kind. It was a fantastic transmission. You had to know how to drive it. It was very similar to Ferrari's F1 transmission. The design was very similar. Actually, my favorite 3 Series of all time was that SMG 330. It is a ZHP, and my favorite one of all time, without a shadow of a doubt. I like the interaction of the paddle shifters. I like the interaction of a manual gearbox as well, but I like the interaction of the paddle shifters also. The SMG, it wasn't all that bad. People were not aware that it had its own fluid, that the SMG pump had its own fluid. It needed to be maintained, and you needed to change it every 24,000 miles. People didn't know that, so they would drive their cars 80,000 miles, and the SMG pump would go bad. Well, when they would take it into the dealership, the techs wouldn't know what they were looking at, and then next thing you know, you get a bill for a new transmission when all that you really needed was a new SMG pump. And then sometimes they would seep hydraulic fluid. Well, anything that's hydraulic is going to seep eventually. As long as you kept your hydraulic fluid serviced on the SMG pump, then more or less you were okay. You could expect a new clutch, just like a normal manual transmission. But there again, okay, so the SMG on the 330 is very different than the SMG on the M3. Very different. The M3, BMW tweaked with it, and they put a little dial in, and there's a sport button, and there's this and there's that they did differently. And some people would debate that it's not as good or as reliable. And I'm not one, I don't know for sure. I suspect that maybe it's not as reliable because of the complaints. I'm not one to say. So, but with a manual transmission, a coupe, the color combination that we have here, black with, what was that? Black with always a good contrast. Part of me wishes that the headliner was black, but what are you gonna do? It would have added to the contrast, I think. It's hot out there today, man. With this contrast, this packaging, the reliability, you can't really go wrong. And it makes sense why BMW has the fanboys that follow these cars. Because they did it right. And it was something that Mercedes-Benz never got right. Because Mercedes-Benz was too worried about cost cutting. Mercedes-Benz was too worried about making sure that all of their cars had automatic transmissions, because it kept all of their costs in-house, because Mercedes-Benz manufactures their own transmissions. They didn't have to contract out to someone to get a good one. Mercedes-Benz was just too worried about that overhead. And to their detriment, because now these cars are the ones with the fanboys. And these ones are the ones that are viewed as the ultimate driver's car. Affordable driver's car. There's so many upgrades that you could make to these cars to make them just that much better, that much more fun, that much more unique, that much more custom, that isn't gaudy. And Mercedes-Benz also doesn't have that. You could do polyurethane engine mounts where you feel everything. You could do a power pulley kit to give your car less serpentine drag. Just more power goes to the wheels. You can, and this is all stuff that just is easy and quick. You could do the upgraded sway bars with polyurethane sway bar bushings. You could do polyurethane control arm bushings to give you that much more connected of a feel to the engine. Or to the road, sorry. You could do the racing water pump, the high flow water pump. There's so much that you could do. There's a lot of inexpensive, easy upgrades you can make to make it that special 3 Series for you. With Mercedes, you had to get the C55 with the Sport Chrono and this and that and blah blah blah, or the C350 with Sport Package, which is incredibly rare. They wanted everybody to have that dreadful 2.5 liter. And that their 7-speed transmission, which was sluggish in the 2.5, the C230s. My brother makes a joke about the C230s and how they sounded with the 7-speed. At any rate, the 3 Series, in my opinion, is the funnest, inexpensive, reliable, predictable, and relatively modern, inexpensive Euro that anybody could buy. And I think part of the reason why I made this channel is just because of that. So that I can share the fact that there are some 3 Series to get. There are some 3 Series to stay away from. And there are some compromises to make. So I did a little bit of a video on what 3 Series to, or what to do when you're going to look at a 3 Series, what to look at, what to feel, what to, pretty much buying tips. But all in all, it wasn't, they are not bad cars as a whole, at all. They're incredibly reliable. They never break. You might have to replace a window regulator, sometimes a expansion tank, but all of that stuff, you know when it's going to go out. The window will make a crackling noise. The expansion tank will it'll give you a light saying it's low on fluid. Just do your services. Do your services. At any rate, we're here at the beach. We're gonna take pictures of this car to put it into inventory, and I will see you guys next time on the next 330 that we are going to be doing. That is a 330 ZHP convertible. That's gonna be fun. I love that car. So I will see you guys next time. Take care. All right, so here is our 330 coupe manual. There's the tires. The lines are near perfect.